Hey BG Rides, welcome back to the channel. We have this gorgeous Kawasaki Vaquero that we're going to do an oil change. All right, we got to let that bad boy warm up real quick for a few minutes.
Good and warm. We'll shut her off.
Okay, we let it warm up for a few minutes. We're going to let it sit for a minute or two. And then we'll get down on the bottom and we'll show you where the plugs are and where the filter is. Okay, now we got to get down on this. We're using it.
Believe me, that thing gets more used more fucking doing shit than ever going floating in a lake.
Okay, grab your 17 millimeter. Do you start with the back one, Big Daddy?
Doesn't matter, either one.
It doesn't matter. Okay, just break them free.
Yep.
Now you got to go the right way. Okay. This one will come from this side. This one's next to a frame and a little bit harder to get to, but they're not on there too tight. All right, scoot it over this way just a little bit. Okay, this is the hardest part, is just getting this screw, and you want to try and keep your oil pan underneath it so it'll collect it, because it'll start coming out pretty quick. There you go. Have a rag just to make sure you don't get any oil dripping on our swim mat. I'll try and see if I can get in there and not block the... Here, we'll scoot the camera over.
Now this is the first oil change on this bike. It only has 1,400 miles.
Oh, 1,400 miles, so...
Break-in oil change.
Break-in oil. That's cool. Is that when they say you should do it?
They say between 1,000 and 1,500 miles.
Okay, 1,000 to 1,500. Okay. There you go. Definitely done draining. It's been about, I don't know, 10 minutes. It takes a little while. Okay, make sure you're using new crush washers. Don't use your old ones. Put the new ones on. Put them on your bolts. And then go ahead and put your bolts back in. Okay. All right, we think the torque is what?
14 psi.
Or 14 what? Foot-pounds?
14 foot-pounds.
14
yes.
foot-pounds. But we're not going to use a torque wrench. We're using a set.
We're using a calibrated arm. We checked it out here several times. We have a calibrated arm now. We know exactly what 14 foot-pounds feels like.
Yeah. You don't need to get crazy with this nut. You don't need to torque on it too crazy, but...
It's all aluminum, so...
Yeah. This says 14 foot-pounds is the number, we believe, but we're just going to do it by hand. Better to use a torque wrench, but
with our calibrated system we use...
Yeah. Okay, and then just clean off any little bits of oil on here. And that's it. Make sure it's tight. Make sure you're not seeing oil and stuff dripping around. Make sure your crush washer's in there. And that's all you got to do for your plugs. Okay, right back here is where we were, where we did the plugs. And if you just come up towards the front of the bike, front of the engine, right here where I'm pointing, we actually got the oil filter, what do you call it, bell wrench thing, stuck on the
socket.
The socket. We got that stuck on the old oil filter.
65 millimeter.
Yeah, 65 millimeter. And then if you want, you can take a 3/8 ratchet, you know, get that hooked up and break it free this way. Or, you know, there's another wrench that looks like this one. And basically you can slide it over the end and do it that way too. So if you don't have as much clearance and you want to use a wrench like this, that works really good too. And we'll take a new oil filter. Okay, this one was pretty tight.
The bucket's right there.
Put that in there like that. Take the wrench off. Just be careful not to damage the threads, and you can just turn it by hand. Like that. So you don't get too much oil in there. Now if you've been out running around in the dirt or whatever, clean that area real good before you take the filter off, just so you don't run the risk of when you take the filter off, any debris falls in there.
The oil he's using is the Kawasaki recommended oil. It is the Performance Oils SAE 10W40 4-stroke engine oil. So that is the preferred oil. So what he's doing is he is filling the oil filter with oil.
All right, so what you can do is with a clean cloth, make sure you don't have anything, you know, sitting up in here, and clean off the old oil. Take a little bit of that. Take a little bit of that new oil, rub it on your O-ring. Get a nice little thin film on the O-ring there. And then you're gonna tilt it and put it on. And then just thread it back on. Like that. Threads on real easy. Just like that, and then I'll show you how to use this one. You just slide it over the end and what's the torque on this thing?
13 foot-pounds, I believe.
13.
Check your owner's manual.
Yeah, check your owner's manual, but we think it's 13 foot-pounds, but that's about 13 foot-pounds. You don't want to reef down on it. And that's all there is to it. And then just wipe it down real good. Make sure you don't have any oil on the engine. Clean it up. Make it look nice. Hey, a little diversion. We were just talking about this dent and stuff right here and right here. We went on a 1,000-mile ride to Hell's Canyon. Check that video out, man. That was crazy. So what we did is we put the bike on a 2x4 just to try and get the bike a little bit more even. And he's got a nice clean funnel, and he's putting in, what are you putting in? 4 quarts?
I'm putting in 1 gallon, 4 quarts of Kawasaki Performance Oil 10W40.
Best oil in the world.
That's what they recommend, so it's got to be.
All right, so down there, that's your fill, and that's where you're going to measure.
That's
like
the dipstick as well for fill level.
So Big Daddy put in 4 quarts, a gallon, and he's going to start it up and let it run.
And let it run for just 2 minutes at an idle. You do not rev it up at all. Now it's been sitting for 2 minutes. So when you do shut it off, you want to let it all have a chance to soak back down. So after 2 minutes, go ahead and take that out. Wipe that off. Now when you do put this back in to measure it, you do need to screw it all the way down. So you do not do it with it up.
We think the manual says that.
Some bikes tell you to do it while it's up. This one here, you screw it down, bring it back up. It's kind of hard to see because it's so clean, because we use that Kawasaki oil. So we're probably a little low still. We're down towards the bottom there. So we need to add just a little bit.
Trying to get to about, what, 4.5 quarts?
Yeah. And we are at about 4.5. So this should be about perfect, but let's check it. So one little secret, people that haven't done this a whole bunch, you can bring your oil down here, put your funnel right into it.
Whoa!
Whoa, no spillage that way.
Damn! That's our pro tip for the day.
That's it. Don't tell nobody where you learned that one.
Show them the thing.
So what you're looking for is right here on the dipstick. This is your normal level. This is your top. This is your low. So you anywhere in here is going to be your normal operating range. And let's bring that up. And take a look. And we are right up, almost right here where we're at. We're right perfect, almost at the top of the mark, which is what I was aiming to be at. So we're perfect. Go ahead and screw that back in, and we are done. It's a full oil change. One thing you might want to think of here at the very end, just check your oil filter, look, make sure you don't have any leaks. Since it's been run. Same thing with your plugs, look around them, make sure you don't have any leaks.
Thanks for tuning in, watching us change oil. I'll throw a couple other videos up at the end there if you guys want to check out any other videos. And you know, please subscribe if you like this kind of content. We like doing just about anything with motorcycles. And see you guys on the next ride.